Hello, everyone. This is a meeting of the Town of Great Barrington Finance Committee, Tuesday, November 18th at 6 p.m. Can I have a roll call? Anne,
I'm here.
Michelle,
Here.
Milena,
Here.
Madonna,
Here.
and I'm Rich Schuyler. We're all in attendance. Welcome, everyone. So we have committee member announcements or statements. I want to start by saying welcome to Liz Hartsgrove. Thank you for being here in attendance, Liz. We are very excited to have you working for the town.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for coming and attending our meetings and being a part of everything. I think you're going to be a great addition. We are very looking forward to it. And hello, Allie. Good to have you here. Anyone else have any statements or announcements to make?
I do, Rich.
Yes, Michelle.
Yeah, our last meeting, we worked a lot on our policy, particularly the bond language. And that appeared on Select Board agenda November 3rd. And they called it forward, but there was no one to talk about it from our committee. So that was a bit of a oops. Generally, when you bring forward an agenda item, even if you're a citizen, you should be present. So I just felt we did a lot of work. The select board put it on their agenda. They were ready to go and talk about it, and there was no finance committee representation on it. So the next time we do something, I know there's chatter about a joint meeting with the select board to be as prepared as possible for that.
Yes.
To make sure we know. It's also being respectful to the select board as well. You know.
Well, I will say that taking on this role has been a challenge, and I have not understood the way things normally run. I was under the impression initially that my first time in front of the select board, I thought we were just going to go over the language of what we wanted to put into the budget. If I had been more aware, I would have realized that at that time we should have done a few meetings with the committee going over the budget for the budget guidelines for 2027 and had our ducks in a row before my first appearance before the select board. But that's entirely a learning curve for me. It's I'm not essentially a political animal, and I don't really, I'm very honest that I don't really understand all the details of how things work. So now when it was, sent back to us, my understanding was that we would be able to work on the language, then send it back to the select board, and then it was up to them to modify it as they wished. That was my understanding. That was not accurate. So now I understand that we have to be there at all times.
Yeah.
And they're offering us another opportunity to bring this up. And Liz sent me a message asking whether we're wanting to do this on December 1st or December 15th. I know you all sent me messages, but since we're all here now, can I just go through all of you to see what date might be the best for everyone? The 1st or the 15th?
Something?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just a little confused because
yes,
attending the meeting, there was a vote taken regarding the bond language that would be addressed in fiscal 28. And then they went on and they approved the policy overall without the bond language to be applicable for FY27. So a vote has already been taken. So I'm just confused why we're meeting at this point. Anne, can you explain that?
Yeah, I mean, again, I should actually say, Liz, sorry to introduce you to some of the confusion and complexity. My understanding, Michelle, is that both the select board and the finance committee have to approve the policy. I don't think it's one of the situations where we make a recommendation. I can dig a little deeper after tonight's meeting in my notes around that, but that's my understanding. And, you know, looking back on it, Michelle, I think your point is really right on target. I do find this sort of, because it's a policy that has to be approved by two committees, these having separate meetings, I think it was a couple years ago, we had so many back and forths, you know, where the finance committee voted on some wording and then the select board wanted a different wording and they came back to the finance committee. I really think moving forward, and again, I know my understanding is that we both have to approve it. I'm not sure even where that would be written. So I'm not sure.
And Ann, of course, we served together 5 years.
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
Finance Committee. And at our meeting, we voted on the policy. And then it went to the select board. So, like I said, I don't know why the select board voted.
Right.
If we're supposed to meet jointly. And
Right.
I listened to I think this was a meeting, I actually was on Zoom because I got out of work late and I couldn't make it to the town hall. And I'm there, okay, I'm hearing the conversation about a joint meeting, but votes have already been taken. So whether I'm just, again, I have experience in this and I'm lost.
Yeah, I mean, I think, but this is, I think, exactly, which is, so they voted on something and now we have to vote, do we accept their revised versions? It's sort of like making a motion and then there's an amended motion and somebody retracts motion. That's the instance that I recall from a few years ago where it went back and forth and back and forth. And then eventually what we had to do was have the exact thing we're proposing now, which was a joint meeting where we can all agree.
I just hope that the meeting's productive because
Yeah, no, I
there's
understand.
a lot of meetings going on.
Yeah,
And we keep going back and forth, and our community isn't that big that we shouldn't be at the table and be able to do it one and done sometimes. Sometimes that doesn't happen.
If I can just speak again, I can only apologize that I'm used to different kinds of structures in the organizations I've worked in before. Structures that are a little bit more, you can have a little bit more one-on-one, you can have a little bit more face time, you can resolve issues, and then the next board can take it up and they can modify and resolve issues. But this is not the way the town works. The town, we have to all be in the room at one time. I'm glad that we are having another opportunity to get together and discuss this particular topic. Now, we could just back away and just say the topic can just go and roll over to 2028. But my feeling is we all expressed our desire to make a statement to the community in this budget guideline, which is a guideline for the town. It doesn't have hard and fast rules, hard and fast things that will happen if the guidelines are not particularly followed. But I believe that the purpose of it is to show the town where our desire is for the town to go. And because we have so much concern about not having spikes in borrowing, I think this is an important issue that we ought to move forward this year rather than just wait till next year. Because of a circumstance of committees speaking correctly to each other. And I will say that this is a great amount of this is my misunderstanding of how the whole system works, because this is just being a member of a committee is very different than being a chair of committee. So here we are. So do you all want to move this forward in 2027 as a guideline, or do you want to bump it down the road to 2028?
I apologize, but Melena's had her hand up.
Yeah,
I know, but I was speaking and then I saw her hand go up and now. Milena, do you want to speak?
Yeah. I just would like to say this. I mean, first of all, I don't think we need to go back into what happened, why it happened, and whatever, because I think part of it is, as Rich said, it is a learning experience for him. Some of those rules are not absolutely shared in any way, so he's learning on the job. But frankly, for me, I think this is really critical. Whatever happened, that we get it forward for 2027. I couldn't agree more. I think we spent a lot of time and went a lot of effort into this. And this is like a procedural hiccup, which is not really, as far as I'm concerned, that important. I think what's important is for this to be put forward, and, we have to have a meeting, another meeting with everyone present, be it. But I think is really critical. We get it in place for 2027. That's where I stand on it.
So may I ask Liz, since you are the administrator here, is our understanding correct that when we get together with the select board at a joint meeting, that we, the select board and us, can change the language together and come to an agreement on what this statement might say?
Thank you, Rich. Yes, that is accurate. That I definitely agree with Michelle that there is a better way to do this, and having all the parties together at the same table to make a decision collectively. I think that's more efficient process. And then similar to what Michelle was alluding to, that everybody can hear the same conversation and then be able to ask questions for clarification in real time versus then taking it back and then having these discussions of speculation or whatever it is, and you don't have access to people to make them restate what they just said for clarification purposes. So yes, you do have the ability to either make a decision on the select board's vote to remove that portion of the third bullet that you had added in there about the debt exclusion portion. That you can do that now, or you can accept their invitation for either the 1st or the 15th to then have that face-to-face dialogue. Now, going forward, just as an FYI, I am making a very comprehensive budget calendar. Steve and I are working on that. And for next year in preparation, there will be outlined steps and dates and references to charter and bylaws and everything of where everybody's responsibility is in this process. So there is clear expectations on everybody's part, including department heads, as to the whole process and the public. So it'll be made available on a whole budget page for people to access. So that is something that I too have recognized as an opportunity to improve. So I'm working on it. I'm taking all of this feedback in and going to be implementing it for the upcoming FY28 budget process.
Thank you very much, Liz.
Okay, there's some hands, there's some committee hands. and then-
Madonna?
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to say, don't beat yourself up. I mean, I feel like you're apologizing way too much. And I agree with Milena. I mean, we all just have to figure it out. And now we have Annie, who's been on for 9 years, and we have Michelle, who's been on finance for years and years. And, I haven't been on for very long. You haven't been on, Milena hasn't been on for very long, but we're all trying, and we're all good citizens, and we're all just doing our best. And isn't that all we can really ask, is to be present, do our best, and move forward with this.
So thank you for that. But I also just want to say, for me, the open meeting law, I take it seriously. I believe it has to be taken seriously. And that's one reason for the confusion from my end, because I can't really go and talk to everybody that I know on our committee without meeting as a committee about how we do this. Now, I can go to Liz or someone else in administration and talk to them, but I didn't really realize that this would be an issue. So Liz, thank you very much. I think that we ought to take the invitation and go on either the 1st and the 15th and really hash out what we want the budget guideline to say. Is everyone, are you feeling like this is something worthy for us to do, Michelle?
It's not my decision, it's the
Well,
committee's
each
decision.
of us has a voice in the committee. I think I've heard from Madonna, I've heard from Anne, I've heard from Elena, but I haven't heard from you. And you had expressed something that you might want to just put it off till 28. And I just wanted to
No,
see if
no,
that was
that's
your
not the
position.
case. That's not the case, Rich. What I'm saying is I attended a meeting. I don't know if anybody else was there. And we were, like I said, a vote was taken. And when you get to know me, I don't like reinventing the wheel, you know,
I
going
understand.
around and that sort of thing. And I was appointed to, it seems like every meeting we're voting on this little paragraph in the policy. It's important. I get it. But we're going back and forth, back and forth.
I
Hopefully,
think now
if we,
we're on the same page.
all right,
I
if I
think
could
now we're on the
finish,
same page. I believe we're
um,
finished now.
okay.
But now we just have to figure out which date works the best for most of us.
I
Well-
can only do the 15th. I can't do the 1st.
Same here. I can only do the 15th, not the 1st.
I can do either as long as there's a Zoom option. I just,
As long as what,
there's the
Anne?
Zoom, as long as there's the Zoom option, the hybrid option, I can do either.
I believe all of the select board meetings are hybrid meetings.
Right.
And Michelle, what is your availability?
The 15th, as long as it's 5 or later.
Yes, Liz, 5 will be acceptable. Okay. And then for me, the 15th. So it looks like we'll have all of us there on the 15th, and this little thing can be resolved.
Rich, thank you. And what I can do is just send an email confirmation to you, and then you just reply that you've confirmed that the board has agreed to. If you want to take a vote, I will include that into the confirmation email, or just out of consensus, that is fine too. But just making sure that we have it in writing that you are confirmed for the 15th, and then I can work with Steve on the placement and making sure your agenda is posted.
Anne, your hand is raised.
Oh, no, but we don't need to vote to meet. I think we can just decide to meet. I think that's fine.
And if one of us, if something comes up and not all of us can go there, as long as we have a quorum, I believe that we are still golden, correct? Okay, thank you, Liz. It's going to be a help to have it clear.
Rich,
Yes,
is also-
Madonna.
can I just want to make one comment about the open meeting law. I think
Yes.
we just have to be very careful to not always reply all. That's why I send you a private message, because it can really, all somebody has to do to break the open meeting law is reply all and give an opinion about something or other. It's much safer if you send all of us, you can do that, but we should all be responding to you individually.
Okay,
Okay.
very good.
There is also a hand has been up since this conversation started in the audience. Which you okay hearing? Oops, oh, sorry, hold on. Okay.
From Eileen?
Yep.
Yes, Eileen. What can we do for you?
I didn't know whether you realized that the budget proposal began when Kevin O'Donnell was town manager, and he had been in place for perhaps 2 weeks and discovered that there were differences in how to handle the budget. So he prepared that as a how-to statement for the finance committee and the select board, and it's gone on from there.
Can you tell me what year approximately that might have been?
When was Kevin? Okay. Kevin predated Jennifer, and Jennifer predated
Mark.
Oh. Mark. Yeah,
So it's been some
Okay.
years.
it's been a few years, yeah. But
Okay,
it wasn't intended as a policy statement, except in terms of how to proceed. And Liz, I'm using your statement on budget procedures in the next newsletter. It was at the end of the selectmen's packet.
Which, I'm sorry, can you clarify what statement?
Let's do it after the meeting.
We'll wait
Your
for,
budget
for
procedures.
media time
Okay.
and then
Thank you.
perhaps, okay?
Yep.
All right, thank you, Eileen. So, any more announcements or statements from committee members? So we can move on to a review of the budget reports for October that Allison prepared for us. Did everybody have a chance to go through them? Allison had sent them to everyone in the committee a week or so ago, I think. I know I sent them again today, but I knew that everyone had had a little time to look at it. Did anything pop out at anyone, for anyone?
Yes,
Well-
I have a lot of questions actually.
Okay,
Can I,
So the-
can I just ask who the highlighting? Ally, did you do the highlighting?
Yes, Ellie did the highlighting.
Oh,
She
okay,
never went
okay.
over the budget. But
yes.
I had a bunch of questions also that were not necessarily highlighted there. It's just because things seems to be moving in a, pretty aggressively on some lines. So the question is, how do we want to go through this?
Well, tell us which lines you have questions
Okay.
about.
I do have quite a few. So the page 1, and thank you for putting it up. And I have a question about the legal fees, and that's a question I have had in the past, and I wanted, because I'm really concerned about the amount of litigation that's out there, and I see that we are pretty much reaching the budgeted amount here. And I don't know, Ali, if this is a good question for you, or maybe Liz would like to chime in, but how confident are we that we'll be fine here with legal fees?
Would Liz or Ally like to dive in here?
Yeah, I can chime in on that one. I can't guarantee that because we still have 6 months to go. And but we can provide some detail to you. I can't go into detail really as to where status of
Mm-hmm.
any open litigation is for confidentiality purposes. But there, yeah, I can see where what kind of general areas that is being paid out for, and then I am doing a full-blown, I'm just letting you know that I am going to be doing a full-blown budget analysis review after Thanksgiving with each of the department heads, and we are going to be going line by line, so I can have a very detailed discussion with them as to what exactly all of this is. So I will be doing that internally as well for you guys. So thank you.
Okay, that's really great. So I'm going to be giving you certain lines, and maybe if you could just mark it up, and then once you speak with the department heads. My other question was on the assessor budget.
Page 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry, hold on, I'm just a little
Yeah, sure,
frozen
go
here
ahead.
for some
Yeah.
reason, I don't really know why. Okay. Here, yep.
Okay.
mhm.
There is the contracted services. So the budget is 17,000 over, which is basically 50%. And I was wondering what is happening there. Do we know?
So I actually do know the answer to this one. Our Munis system, which is our financial system that you're reading this report from, needed a bridge to be set up in order to correct some errors as far as the personal property billing.
Mhm.
So Emily worked with Munis directly, and they got that all taken care of at a relatively low amount. You'll notice that it is $17,000 in a deficit. However, there's 14,000 that's encumbered. So
Mhm.
she's not certain that she's even going to need all of that 14,000. But we also made provisions in the contingency line for a potential year-end transfer of a couple $1,000s to cover that.
Okay, so this is.
She thinks at year end, she's gonna be able to move most of it around and need very little to fill her
Okay,
hole.
so this is really a system issue that you guys are dealing.
Mhm.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Okay, then on the next page, the collector and treasurer, let me just see where I am. Oh, where was I? Collector, treasurer. Is this one before this page or after? I cannot see that.
But
Yeah,
It's at the bottom
sorry,
here,
collector
yeah.
and treasurer,
What's
yeah.
the line number? What's the
Yeah.
line number?
Okay, it is the it's a number 01146, and it's the title litigation. And I was just wondering
Mhm.
what is exactly that, because again, the budget is pretty much gone for most of it. And would you know what it is, Ally?
That's tax title litigation. So I would have to check with Alicia on that for more detail, but it looks as though there's 2,200 encumbered. So I'm not sure if that is kind of an encumbrance for the entire year, like a blanket purchase order, or
Or is it
if
like
that's,
individual?
yeah. So
Okay.
I'll have to get back to you on that
Okay,
one.
so this would be a litigation that we are engaged in because of some default in tax payments? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Because it was
Once it goes delinquent and it gets into the process of tax title,
Right.
then we have another type of an attorney that goes to land court to proceed with the foreclosure process.
Okay, because it was my understanding from the conversation we had at the budget review that she actually uses some kind of a agency that does the collection, and then we pay them a percentage. But this is a different kind of a this is
Oh,
a
that's the deputy collector. So that the deputy
Okay, happen-
collector, that's before it gets to the point of
So this is
delinquency.
after that, when you cannot
Yes.
collect, you engage in litigation. Okay, so if we can find out whether this is just basically for the remainder of the year, or whether this is just some very specific litigation going on. Okay, and then on next page, Anne, we can go to public buildings.
That's on page 4, public buildings.
Yep, okay, got it.
Public
Which-
building.
Which
yeah.
line are you looking
Okay,
at?
I'm looking at the electricity line, which is 01192.
52110.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
also the gas, oil heating. And so I was just wondering what is happening there. Is it just basically this is a prorated spend in the encumbers column, or whether these are real bills that are outstanding. I'm not sure really how you guys handle that. Ellie, could you comment on that?
It seems I'll have to get more information from the department head on that, but it seems to me that they opened a blanket purchase order
For
for
the whole year?
I would imagine for the whole year.
Okay,
I mean,
okay.
that's,
I mean, that would seem to be the
Yeah.
case. I just want to double check.
and they paid some of it off of it, which is under the year-to-date expended, and that's why
Right,
it's kind of
okay.
an odd number left over.
Yes,
Yeah.
I just want to check because the utility cost has been going through the roof also, so I want to see that we are on target there. Mhm.
Yeah.
Ally, actually, Melena, do you mind if I just jump in? Because as I
Sure.
looked through this prior to our meeting, I had a general question about how people are using encumbrances, because it does seem like they're sort of using the encumbrances column to say, here's what I expect to spend over the course of the fiscal year, which is a little confusing because isn't that what the budget line is supposed to be? So it's a little,
It's a
hard-
tool that
Is
it's really important, a tool so that they know how much they
how
have.
much they have left, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you have your budgeted amount and you have your encumbrance, and your
Okay.
budget minus your encumbrance tells you how much is available in case they have any needs that are not
Okay.
covered under their regular day-to-day activities.
And you
right,
kind
but
of know that you will have to have electricity going on, right? I mean, you
Right.
kind of know you cannot get away. But you also have in that column things that are actual, which are the purchase orders that could be, you know, very different type of a liability, because at the end, I mean, in theory, you can turn, you know, the electricity you could turn off, but the other one you already incurred the liability. But I am with you, Ali, on it. It's just basically it's a tool for the department to
We
manage.
have
Yeah.
Michelle has had her hand up for a while. Michelle, are you wanting to dive in on something that's been just recently discussed or on the
Well,
budget?
no, about the encumbrances, the practice, that's very common.
yeah,
I
yeah,
work for another public entity, and particularly when you have a good feel of expenses, you encumber ahead. There are some expenses where I work that I've encumbered for the year. And there are others where you're a little more cautious on. Also, your encumbrances generally periodically throughout the year, you work with the business administrator or whoever, and you review your POs and encumbrances and say, can we reduce this? Does it look like it's really, and the money goes back. I do a lot of grants work, so it goes back to a grant. So
Okay.
this is a very, very common
Okay.
practice.
okay.
And may I just ask, just because it's an encumbrance doesn't mean there's a contract in play, but as Michelle was saying, it also has an aspect of you know from what you've spent already that you're expecting this much to actually be spent. Is that what we're talking about, Ally?
Correct. For example, in my budget, under my supply line item, I might have a blanket purchase order for WB Mason or Amazon. And because I anticipate that's what I'm going to spend, that doesn't mean I'm going to spend that, but I have a blanket order in place so that as I purchase things, I just draw off the same purchase order encumbrance.
But I just want
Okay.
to chime in that you also have actual POs there
Yes.
in that. So it's not just something that is anticipated. There are actual POs in it
Yes.
as well. We just
Absolutely.
depending on the nature of the expense. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So
So continue, Milena.
yeah, if we can have the screen sharing. Okay. Okay, so I would imagine then for most of those other if we have fire department, which I think is the next page maybe.
What page number do you have at the bottom of your page?
Do I have a page number?
Fire
believe it's
department.
no, this is the page I was gonna ask you. So
Yes, we're page
yeah,
6.
yeah.
Everyone, page
And
6.
I'm kind of interested in that, and this is line 01220, and I'm assuming this is the same issue that we just spoke. In this case, they put it through 100% for the hydrant rentals. Is that correct, Ali?
Yes.
I mean, that's pretty straightforward expense, so I would imagine that's what it is.
Yes.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that we actually rent those, so we don't own them.
No.
Doesn't own them. Interesting. Okay. All right. And then I wanted to go to the Department of Public Works Highway, DPW
Page
Highway.
7.
Yeah. So here we have some interesting things going on, and maybe Ali, you may want to go through those because they are all highlighted by you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, just so that you know, I highlighted those for the department heads so that they could review their
Right.
accounts and,
Right.
and
I see. I see.
yeah.
So
So
there
we're
would be
still
some-
talking about much of the same issues we've been talking about already, encumbrances being POs and also anticipated purchasing for the
Right, but
remainder of the year.
there is quite of an issue here because we are way over in quite a few lines. So I would imagine, that's, I think we should really have some detailed conversation, maybe after Liz gets all the input from the department head, what is really happening here. I mean, I just don't understand how we can have, I think, what is the one? Street lights. Why do we think it's gonna be 40,000 over?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I can't answer that for you, but
Right,
I,
right. No, I know, I understand. I'm just saying
Okay.
I have a lot of questions around this because that really we need to really understand what is happening, what is real, what happened to streetlights, what is happening that they would all of a sudden that they would be blowing through the budget line, right?
Right.
So definitely we need to get a lot of information from I guess Joe here. Okay. And let me see what else I have. Okay. Okay, then I have debt service, and that one's gonna be for you, Ali.
Yeah.
Okay. So where are we? Right
That's
here.
page 10.
Yeah, yeah, we are here. So that's the line 01752.
It's the
And
second number, which is helpful too.
yeah, so I was gonna ask you, Ellie, so we know that like I was surprised to see there was nothing in the short-term interest payments.
Mm-hmm. It has not been processed yet. The short-term
Okay.
interest payment is in the works. That'll be in your November when we did the
Okay.
November bonding.
So that
That's
would
when
be, okay, that it will all show up there. Okay,
Yes, we
very
paid
good.
off the bond anticipation note, so it'll show up on
Right.
your November one.
Okay, okay. And then I was gonna ask you, so for the debt issuance cost,
Mhm.
I mean, they're just gonna be coming up obviously right now, and that 15,000, that's pretty solid, right?
Meaning, do we have enough?
Yeah, you have enough, yeah.
Yes, we also have some residual bond premiums that are out in the
That you
capital
can use
fund
for
that
that?
we can
Okay,
use for this
okay,
as well. So yes, we
okay.
should be fine.
Okay, very good.
Mhm.
Okay, so
May I just interject briefly, Ally, at the last select board meeting, did we approve the long-term bond for 26?
Yes.
And what was the total number for the long-term bond for this year?
Oh, boy, I believe, I want to say 5,150,000 off the top of my head. I'll have to pull out the documentation. I'm
Roughly.
sorry. I'm just not.
Roughly, okay, great. I
Okay,
think
that's-
from
was
our
5 million.
conversation.
yeah, I mean,
About
yeah, because I remember that was in those, when we had that conversation, maybe back in September, that's what it was showing on, in the financials. And then
Yes.
my other question is on the insurance.
Mhm.
I think, I don't know which page it is. We
Page
can-
11.
Page 11, thank you. So,
It says allocation from wastewater.
yeah,
Yes, so those are for indirect costs, and I do a journal entry to move funds from the enterprise fund to the general fund twice a year. So
So-
that's why it looks that way, because I'll have one in December and one in June.
and could you, I'm sorry, Ellen, I'm sure you already explained that to us many times before, but I didn't retain it. So what is exactly this transfer? What does it represent? And what is the relationship between those two entities?
Okay, so as you know, an enterprise fund is a self-supporting fund.
Yes.
So we cannot just intermingle funds. So what happens is the wastewater enterprise fund has to use services from other departments, part of my time,
Okay.
part of Liz's time, and so on. Part of my supply line items. So we figure out a percentage of
Mhm.
each department, the tax collectors, because they collect their bills. So we figure out a percentage of each for the
Okay.
year. And then that is what we
I see.
essentially
Okay.
bill the wastewater and enterprise fund. And that's what the transfer is all about.
Okay.
So it
And-
supplements our budget to make up for their piece.
Okay, so this is basically part of the cost gets carried by them. Okay, and then
Yes.
you make a transfer between those two books. Okay, great.
Yes, including benefits. So like the portion that's for myself, the
Mhm.
portion, that percentage is also the percentage of my benefits gets applied to that enterprise fund.
Okay, okay.
So
Okay, great.
may I ask, since this is a negative number, is this
Mhm.
representing all of the costs that you are billing them, but not yet the money back from them?
Correct. Yes.
Okay,
So what in December and in June, I do an entry to move that in here, and
Reverse.
essentially it'll zero it out.
Yeah,
And the
okay.
reason we do that is so that we can show that it's an offset essentially to our budget. So it doesn't appear as though the general fund budget is higher than it really is.
Right.
got
right.
it, got it. Wonderful.
Okay, so thanks a lot. And again, I think the my biggest questions remain on the Department of Public Works and what is happening there. And I think that's obviously is a big part of our overall budget. And I think we need to get a little bit more insights into each of those lines.
Okay, I have notes for to just follow up on the legal fees, the tax title litigation, and the DPW. And I will get you that definite number, the full dollar amount on the bond, just so that you have it for your records.
Super.
Wonderful, thank you. And
Okay, you're
Liz
welcome.
will follow through with us you'll follow through with us at some point after your meetings with the department heads?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Liz. Does anyone else have any questions or things they want to discuss about the budget reports? Anyone else on the committee? Okay, thank you. Elena, you did a deep dive and we appreciate it. Next item on the agenda is the discussion of school finance subcommittee meetings by attendees. The last meeting that we had the same topic on, and I think that Milena, you were not in attendance, but you had attended one of the finance subcommittee meetings. Did you have any comments to make regarding any of the meetings that you had attended?
Well, I think the meeting that I attended was maybe one of the first or second meetings that they had. And really at that meeting, there was no in-depth conversation about the budget. Really what happened was the two departments just presented a list of things, I should say, that they were planning to do or they were like looking to do. But the subcommittee, and I asked them, I was kind of frankly surprised that there was no conversation going on there. And what they said is they just go through those presentations and then the actual, conversation and negotiation starts after each of the departments present. So the bulk of it was operations and technology, and it was really just kind of a just a list of things that both departments were asking for, but there wasn't any any conversation, any strategic evaluation of those requests. So I'm assuming that some of it will happen later, or maybe you guys, I know you attended two of those, that maybe there was some additional conversation about things more strategic in nature, but not
Okay.
not at the meeting I attended.
So the second meeting of the school finance subcommittee, I know, was regarding special needs students. And I was unable to attend. Was anyone able to attend that particular meeting? I didn't think so. But the third meeting, that was a very interesting meeting that I believe both Michelle and I attended. Michelle, you made extensive notes. Did you have any general comments that you would like to make about what went on in that particular meeting?
Well, the principal from the elementary, the middle school, and the high school presented. And they also had written narratives. It was part of a packet that they presented, the new business administrator presented to those in attendance. I have some concerns regarding which, they were very open regarding student performance, etc. But the one thing that concerned me the most during the presentation, and Melina, this is where they started getting more into the meat of the budget, was the Monument Mountain. They have stipends paid by the Bar Foundation. It's a grant. And now they expect, when the grant runs out, for taxpayers to pick it up. And having done grants, that used to be one of those critical components that whenever the entity I worked for signed onto a grant is, what do we do after the grant runs out? Do we go to the taxpayers, whatever? It's just an important conversation to have when you're going out for grants. So personally, myself,
Michelle, do you know how big that grant is?
no, that
didn't
was
mention
not
that.
given, but it pays for stipend positions, and other things, and it was spelled out in the narrative. But like I said, that is kind of grants 101, is to ask yourself that question. And I come from the mindset that we need to get away from the attitude that when the bottom falls out, we go to the taxpayer.
Right.
I'm hell bent on that. And so I think our Berkshire Hills Regional School District has adopted that practice far too long and has to get it in check. And so that was about the only thing. I mean, everything was interesting to me because it's my wheelhouse, but that was like, whoa, I started grinding my teeth at that. But that's my personal opinion. Rich may have another point of view on it.
Well, I wanted to just say that what I was hearing was certainly some hope from Monument Mountain that some of those positions might be able to be subsumed into a new budget. But at the same time, I heard a lot of pushback from the members of the finance subcommittee and from the administrator that it's unlikely that they're going to. And so they need to have a discussion as to how they're going to try to learn from what they had been able to achieve with the Bar Foundation grant. But I heard a lot of discussion, especially from Monument Mountain, that they were not expecting to go back to the funding level that they had before. They had to make a lot of cuts last year. The same I heard from the middle school, that things were working well. They had found workarounds. They had found ways of working with that. And very often throughout the meeting, there was discussion about, everyone was aware that the taxpayers had to be on their mind constantly when they're thinking about what services they're wanting to request. The thing that struck me from the elementary school was that the student performances in reading and math were below the 50% percentile, and that they were looking into, Michelle, you might help me understand a different teaching tools.
No, they were talking about curriculum.
They were talking about curriculum, and that was where they were really saying they were expecting a $50,000 ask towards this elementary curriculum that they felt was needed in order to fill a hole in their students' learning. Did you
Mhm.
get that as well, Michelle?
Well, I think a little bit of here's what I heard and what you heard.
So
are
I
two
heard the
different things.
50,000. I heard the 50,000 clearly, and that was the only time during the whole presentation of all of the three school principals where I actually heard some money that they were going to request. Now, the next meeting that they're having on the 20th of November, I sent the agenda to everyone, but that seems to be where they're starting to look at the things to cut and the things to consider. So I think that this curriculum is going to be one of those things that they're going to try to find money to pay for. But as I say, I was happily hearing that people were having the taxpayers in mind and they were trying to hold costs down, especially at the time the school had not passed yet, the new high school had not passed yet, but they were thinking of the taxpayers having to take on that new responsibility as well. So it was a very interesting meeting.
I have a question for Michelle, actually. And Michelle, I know you're very familiar with the school systems in Massachusetts. So where I come from, schools cannot just change curriculum because it's pretty much state mandated. So when Rich mentioned this to me, I was just kind of wondering how can the district implement a new curriculum here, but maybe the Massachusetts is just a total outlier compared to other states.
Well, curriculum is a tool. Yeah, it would, any new curriculum will go by Mass DESE standards. And there are various curriculums. And from what I understand, that the narrative says that we're talking about Muddy Brook, the elementary school. More than half of our students are performing below or well below grade level expectations academically. So what they're looking for is a new curriculum that will help raise the student scores. So that is not uncommon either. The school I work with, will search out a curriculum tool that they believe will help elevate their students. But Melina, keep in mind, any curriculum that is used has to go by Mass DESE standards.
Okay, so they will be basically choosing curriculum that's from that menu, whatever the state.
And I think it would have been really helpful, and I'm sorry I didn't do this, if we shared the narratives that were provided from the school finance committee, because there was discussion regarding the math curriculum, and there's a name, it's called illustrative math, but there are other math curriculums as tools to use.
Yeah.
So I could now, because we're going to be continuing to discuss school finance subcommittee meetings as an ongoing part of our meeting, I can go ahead and send all of those narratives from the school principals to everyone on the committee for them to review for next for any discussion at our next meeting as well.
I did
You-
find them very helpful.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Rich, I marked mine up. So
Well, I marked mine in pencil, so I can save it.
I don't remember the last time I used a pencil. So
I only use pencils.
so I'm sorry about that.
No, that's fine.
Okay,
I try
thank
to
you.
keep it on pencil. Okay, I will do that. But I think that that all of the other spreadsheets we had are probably a little too detailed yet for us to find some viable information out of. I think our look at this is to understand how they build their budget until we receive it, so that it's not just a surprise at budget time. That's why we're doing this, trying to attend these meetings, trying to talk about it at each of our finance committees. And also because we don't have representatives from them coming to us they're saying they're coming to us and the town later. So, so I think that this is an ongoing discussion. Any other thoughts from anyone right now
I
about the
think
school finance subcommittee?
Michelle, you raised your hand anew or no?
Yeah, there is the meeting Thursday night, and Rich, I'll probably be there. I wasn't sure if the planning board was going to be meeting Thursday
Right,
night.
and you had
because-
said that, yeah.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be able to do the back-to-back meetings, so I'll
Right, but
try to be there.
I'm gonna go there myself.
Mhm.
So I'd love to have you there, but if you're not, it was so great to know that someone else is in the room taking notes and I was taking notes, and then we knew we'd talk about it today, you know?
And unfortunately, they do have a Zoom option, but the audio on their Zoom
Oh,
is not very good.
And it's not
Um,
recorded. It's not
yeah.
recorded, so no one can look at it after the fact. We
And
looked into
something
it.
maybe I could do this, and I don't know how it would sound, Rich. You see how big the room is there. I can say I can record the meeting on
But
my
I
phone.
have, but I understand from the administrator that normally these meetings are held in the administrator's office and not in the large conference room.
In my experience, because I've attended many of these meetings, it's always
Oh,
been in a
really?
large room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it
yeah.
has? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know
And
why you told
so-
me that. Okay.
Yeah.
Teacher, I have a
So-
question. Sorry, because I have a conflict and won't be able to attend. I wish I knew about the date. Where do you guys see the dates for those meetings so that I know?
On the
On their website?
BH Berkshire Hills Regional School District website.
Website, it's there.
You
Okay.
look under school
Mhm.
committee, and then the
Okay.
school committee has it broken down into subcommittees. And when you click on subcommittees, then you'll start to see all the agendas and details for the particular meetings. It's just like in our town, they don't have the agendas posted until a certain time before the meeting, but you always know they're going to happen. What is the 20th? About the same time each month.
Which is 20th each month.
No,
And
no,
also
about
they're on the
whatever
town
that date.
website.
I'm
They're
sorry?
on
They're on the town
Yeah,
website
they
as
are. The
well.
dates are on the website. Okay,
Yeah,
I will
they
look it
are.
up. Yeah.
The town website is an excellent resource
Okay.
to
Okay,
go in
good.
for meetings, and I'm constantly in there. And also the newsletter announces meetings.
Oh, that,
Yes,
Yes.
that newsletter is very helpful. Yes.
When tell Eileen this gets out the
So
message.
I see right now that Eileen's hand is up. Eileen, do you have a brief comment to make?
To say that, oh dear, can you hear me?
We can.
Yes, we can.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to say that I put the agendas in the newsletter.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
maybe you can see it in that.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so we can move on to possible topics and meeting dates for December and January. I did call our assessor, Emily, and she has agreed to come to our meeting in December. I'm trying to remember the exact date that we all agreed on.
I had the 16th on my calendar.
Yes, it's always the third Tuesday. So Emily will be with us on the 16th. At that time, we'll be able to review the minutes for our last meeting and this meeting. They did not come to me before I left on vacation, and I had to post the agenda before I left. That's why we're not reviewing any minutes today, but we'll review 2 months worth of minutes at our next meeting. And we'll put the school finance subcommittee on the thing as well. And Ally, I'll discuss with Ally to see if we have anything to review from her desk at our next meeting as well. And of course, Liz will be here, and that will be some help for us to get a better understanding of what we've already been reviewing. Does anybody have any other topics that they feel are important to
Well,
think about?
Liz has her hand up.
Yes, Liz.
Thank you. Yes, I just wanted to remind you that the FY27 budget action calendar will be coming to you with all of the internal steps as well as board and committee steps with tentative dates or placeholders once I get more confirmation from schools and veteran affairs and all of the other people, so I can get them before you and the select board for meetings. But it'll also include the Community Preservation Committee, the process that they go through and all the steps, because those are items that you will need to review to make recommendations for the warrant coming up in the town meeting. So again, I really want you to look over the draft when Steve and I have presented at the select board. They've looked at the dates. I'm going to send you the draft just so you can check it out and
Great.
put placeholders or just ask questions if there's any conflicts. And again, it's a very fluid, open document as we're building it and putting it into place this year. So that way next year we've kind of already done all the homework and put it into place as to all the steps and coordinating everybody. So then we kind of have an idea for next year. It goes much more efficiently next year. So just stay tuned that will be coming. It's going to be a brand new document. It'll have a lot of information. It may be overwhelming at first, but I think it'll be very helpful that you'll see how I am very involved internally before it comes to you, and then we're having a transparent public process for reviewing budgets and getting people in front of you, okay?
So, Liz, may I ask, are we going to have something similar to what we have done in past years, where we have 3 or 4 budget meetings together with the select board? Will they be, because there was some discussion that perhaps we need to spend more time on capital discussions rather than diving down into $500 here on this line and $25 here on that line for the majority of the meetings. And because we're sort of feeling that capital is the thing that's driving our future budget, and we need to make a much more concerted effort to understand where we're going and what we're asking the town to vote on, and know what that's hanging out there as possible expenditures each year. So does that make sense what my question was?
It does. And I don't know if Michelle has a follow-up question that I can then answer kind of in tandem, or okay.
Michelle?
So the budget count, so the budget process again is going to be a little different this year. So I don't know if you have seen the select board meetings, but in the first meeting on November 3rd, I asked the select board to review their priorities. And because it hadn't been done in a year and a half. And the justification for this is that if staff doesn't have up-to-date priorities, we can't plan accordingly for where to put. I can't make recommendations and plan a budget that then is aligned with the priorities and values of the community based upon what they've identified. So they're working on that. They're finalizing it hopefully on the 1st, which will then be utilized as a guide for the departments to build their capital, their upcoming fiscal year capital requests, as well as any justification for any changes in personnel or other operating budget justifications. It has to be all tied in with the priorities listed in the certain areas of focus that the select board have identified. So whether it be efficiencies in municipal services, whether it be public safety, whether it be housing or economic development, there has to be some connection to how that is going to be achieving their upcoming 2 years of priority planning. And then that'll be all presented to me with all of the data, all of the background research and justification with quotes, everything. Pictures, elaborate details will then be put together in a beautiful package that Allie and I are going to be working on for you guys. And so this is going to be evolving over time, but we're going to be starting to train the staff on how best practices of putting together a really comprehensive budget that has full detail that public can access, that they can see on the website and be able to ask questions. So that information, the capital improvement plan for the 5 years, all of that will be seen for you, but in conjunction with the priorities that have been identified by the select board. So that way we're literally working off of the same page and you can see the progress being made and that we're talking to each other. Okay?
Wow. Well, that is a very different process. And
It
I'm
is.
excited. I'm excited to hear this. Thank you. It sounds like you're looking at multi-year planning, which is an aspect that we have not had much of here. And now Michelle has had her hand up for quite some time. Michelle?
Yes.
Just wanted to point out that the budget action calendar was part of the packet, select board packet, but it was in draft. I actually have it stapled right to tonight's meeting folder right now. So verbally hearing this can be a little overwhelming, but if you look at the draft, and I'm very that type of person, I go, okay, step 1, step 2, step 3, and like that. It's actually calming for me to look at it and
Thank
go,
you.
okay, there's a method to the madness here. Okay, and it is madness. But I would recommend taking a look at that draft that's in the select board packet. Maybe, but Liz did say she'd be sending it out because when you first look at it, it looks overwhelming. But then if you've done this before, you go, okay, yeah, this is what we're doing. And there's some changes in it and get acclimated to it before we go into budget season. So.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
again, the dates are flexible right now and they will constantly change and adjust. But again, it's very valuable for all of us to identify all of the players, where they are in the schedule, when to expect things, and understanding also that it is constantly ongoing throughout the whole year. Even after town meeting, there are going to be extra layers added to it of review. So, and I'm trying to think real quick if there is. Yeah, so we will be having internal, for me, very in-depth conversations when they're going to be proposing even fee changes. I don't know if Michelle, you noticed that, but even fee changes are going to be on there. And I am incorporating both a 2 tiers, so one for fiscal year and one for calendar year. So right now we're only building in for fiscal year, but those are also parts of where the finance committee should be involved in understanding that we're really looking at this comprehensively and that there's systems in place to keep the revenue coming in, lowering the dependency on just saying, oh, we'll just add it to a budget. No, we need to make sure that we can actually pay for the services and doing cost analysis, full justifications for why these changes are being proposed. And again, why is it aligned or how is it aligned to these achieving the priorities been set by the select board? So these are all very, very solid standards that award-winning budgets and communities have done. And Allie and I are bound and determined that we're going to get that gold star for Great Barrington. I think we've said it for maybe 2 years, or definitely before my contract's up. So, but yeah, so we're going to be working very hard on getting this up and running for you guys. Okay.
Well, wonderful. May I
Yeah.
ask briefly, are our main budget meetings with the select board still in February?
Again, that's up for right now conversation. So I've just put in placeholders. That's why that Steve has asked to kind of look at it and give a first crack at it. So he's going to be amending it, but I just put placeholders. Again, very fluid. It's going to constantly change as more people look into it and sign
Okay.
off. So
Okay, so we don't know yet.
not
Um,
officially, but I can send the draft out. And so that would, because it's already been in the public packet. So I will send that to you, Rich, and then
Okay.
you can distribute it
I'll
to the board
distribute it
members.
to the board
Uh-huh.
members. Um, Town meeting, is it still expected roughly beginning of May,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
First weekend in May?
In theory, yes. So,
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to,
Yeah.
I have a personal life as well, and my husband is chomping at the bit to travel, and I don't want to make these plans unless I really know when the opening is going to be. So,
Yeah.
oh well, you know as well as you know. Very good.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
There's another
Uh,
hand up. Yeah.
Yes, I see Michelle's hand is still up. Michelle, did you have more?
And just to underscore, this is a draft, and I'm doing it, and I'm doing the exact same thing in my other life. So my head is spinning because I was doing this today. But the tentative ATM date, and it's tentative, is May 11th of 2026, but that's subject to change. Because if you're looking at budget calendars, they're always subject to change as the process evolves. So when you receive that draft from Liz, that's going to be really helpful for life planning.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you.
And I just want to
Yeah.
say, Allie's absolutely glowing over this process.
I know, I know.
So
No, I'm glowing over
I don't
this
think I've
process.
seen
I think it's
Allie
fantastic.
smile so much as
This is great.
I just wanted to point that out.
I just get really excited about these.
I know, really.
No, that's good. That's good. This planning is fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, so we know we have set our December meeting for the 16th, and our January meeting is scheduled for the 20th. I'm going to go ahead and say we're sort of scheduled for that unless someone has another idea. Okay, that's good. I think we can move on to citizen speak time.
We do
Do we
have
have
one,
any?
we have one hand up.
Very good. Hello, Sharon.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank
Oh,
you.
great. I wanted to speak today because we are in the CPA season and it's
Yes.
going really fast. The presentation happened last week, and actually there's just 3 meetings in early December, and I was afraid the deadline will pass before you all get a chance to really know much about it. And if you would, I'd like to speak about the library request. It's the largest request. And the good news is, I think I have a way to take $2.5 million out of the CIP. So, I would like your support. So, may I go ahead?
What is the CIP?
The capital investment plan. The town's budget for
The capital improvement
capital
plan.
projects.
Oh, the capital budget. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I
Well,
wanted
but
to introduce you.
this is best handled at the CPA meeting, is it not, Sharon?
Not really. One is she didn't allow citizens speak at the first introduction of, and the second, third, and fourth one after people submitted will be in early December. And um, I would like the finance committee's support. So, and I wanted to tell you why. So that's why.
Okay, you have a few minutes. Please go
Yes.
ahead, Sharon.
Thank you. Um, I'm president of the Great Barrington Library Fund. It's a nonprofit corporation we formed late last year in anticipation of the MBLC Grant Award, the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissions commissioners to help the town raise private funding from places like foundation grants. We need a town commitment in the form of a sizable CPA grant over several years as a ballast. The MBLC grants are distributed over several review periods in the life of the renovation project. And the renovation project I'm talking about, of course, Ramsdale Library. So a status report is the design has been recommended and the library has endorsed them as of last week. And a public review will be planned in December. The cost analysis will be completed in January, but our funds need to be available to match MBLC's progress grants, basically at a ratio of 3 to 2. So the MBLC train has left the station. Last year, the town authorized $150,000 in certified funds that were required with the grant application. The CPC denied the $150,000, which brought it to town meeting and, took it out of our taxes. So the MBLC granted $100,000 when we won the first part of the journey. And now we're, in the running for basically, I would imagine it would be like a $5 or $6 million grant. It's a big renovation. Ramsdale is an important historic building on the National Register of Historic Places and is not fit for the public except for the use of one floor out of 3. The renovation will be an incredible asset. So the CPC is a key funding vehicle for the town. The CPC fund is backed by state statute, so projects do not really raise our taxes. The kitty is there. It's just a matter of whether or not we can give preference to town projects. It initially was a priority, but I don't know if it still is. And that is possibly a finance committee issue that you can think about. The MBLC is projected to provide 55% of the renovation funding. So 45% is the town's or others' responsibility. Financially, this is how I see it. If the CPC approves the trustee's request of $1.5 million, it will cover about 15% of the 45. If this is granted, then the GB, our library fund, I'm president of it, will endeavor to cover another 10%. And it'd be roughly like $1 million. And it costs a lot of money to run a capital campaign. But there are other government grants, the GP culture, the Massachusetts Cultural Committee, the ADA, the cultural one is about 250, ADA is about 250, Historical Commission is about 50K. This will reduce the town's contribution down from 45% to 15%. That is our hope. So GBLF cannot launch a capital campaign without the CPA proposed grant. A basic question for foundation fundraising is who else is contributing? And if the town's interest is not substantial, outside fundraising would be really difficult. So there are a couple of precedents. One, the Memorial Baseball Field was given a multi-year $500,000 CPA grant backed by a 15-year CPA bond. Second, Lennox used one of their early CPA grants to purchase their private library for $1.5 million, also backed by a multi-year bond. I tell you this because the chair said she would not consider a multi-year bond. So I would need your support if we are able to do that. This is the largest capital request that can reduce money from our budget using a qualified CPA grant. The roads and bridges and schools are not qualified for the CPA. So I hope the Finance Committee will endorse the request. In closing, we have raised about $15,000 just to get us started with legal fees, filing fees, and things like that. We put up a newly updated gblibraryfund.org where you can see our board members, our status, and our general charge is to raise money for Great Barrington Libraries, but our first charge is to address the Ramsdale Library. We're not limited to capital campaigns. I wrote it so that we could help fund capital campaigns as well as services. So the review periods are for CPA are December 9th, 10th, and 18th. And if the chair would allow, good community input, I hope anybody who will support the grant for Ramsdale Library to speak to it. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Sharon, for your comments. We appreciate it. Anyone else with their hands up?
Don't see anybody. No.
Does anyone else do we have any more comments from media? We have media time. Okay, then is there any more business that I have not covered? If not, I'm going to call for adjournment of the meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
And I second. Madonna? I'm sorry,
I.
Milena,
Aye.
Michelle,
Aye.
Anne,
Aye.
and I am an aye. So
Okay.
thank you all for a very successful meeting, and thank you, Liz, for attending with us very much. We appreciate it. Ally, as always, see you soon.